Are you ready to eliminate your credit card processing fees? Visit www.pairpayments.com and use code JAKE for a $250 Visa gift card when you join today. Welcome back to Under Pressure, your favorite business building podcast for the pressure washing industry. And today I have with me a very special guest who I'm so excited to have on this show, and that is AC Lockyer. AC is the CVO of Droplet International, which are some of the brands under Droplet International that you're probably familiar with: Soft Wash Systems, Disruptor Manufacturing, Stingray Hose Reels, and Phantom Window Works. So I got them all there?
Well, that's not all of them, but those are probably the ones that are most important to the people on this particular podcast. Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I'm sure that a lot of people know you, AC, but if they don't know you, could you give us a quick little summary on who you are, what you do in the industry now, and then we'll get into how you got there, how you stepped into this industry.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that you have a lot of new exterior cleaning business owners that get on this. So, guys, I'm just like you. I was the first person ever in my family to graduate from high school. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was the first person in my family to get kicked out of college. And that's a fun story all of its own. And, I met my wife in college, and she was my girlfriend then, and then later my fiance. And so when I got kicked out of college, I wanted to start a business. My dad was a service business entrepreneur. My grandfather had been a service business entrepreneur. So I was like, well, I got to get serious about my life. I want to get married. I want to make babies. I want to start a family. I need to start a business, a service business. And I got into the roof cleaning business like a lot of you guys have yourselves and are doing, or you might be doing more pressure washing and stuff like that. And literally did it just like you guys. I was literally, they talk about the hated $99 guy, Yeah. I was the $49 guy. And started my business cleaning roofs for $49 each, worked my way up to $150 to $300 to $450. I remember the first guinea pig neighborhood I did that I cleaned some of my first roofs in. Cleaned the first roof for $49, cleaned the last roof in there for $490 18 months later, and evolved my company. And that was a neighborhood called Orange Grove Park that's on Redwood Lake Road here in the Orlando, Florida area. And, I did it just like you guys. I'm just like you guys. Here's the thing is I'm a multi-millionaire service business owner. I've been a multimillionaire and gone broke. I've been a multimillionaire and gone broke. I've learned. I've taken all the hits. You haven't screwed up any more than I've screwed up. What I'm here to do today, hopefully with this podcast with you, Jake, is to let people know you can do it. You can do it. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be entitled. You don't have to have a silver spoon in your mouth. You just have to have intestinal fortitude. You have to go out there and hustle, and if you've got a good plan and you stick to it, you guys could be multimillionaires too.
Absolutely. And that is what I'm so excited to get into today, is a little bit of the roadmap and the tips and tricks you can impart on our audience today, because as you just said, you're third generation service business entrepreneur. It's in your blood. This is in your blood, and now you do business consulting, and you consult for people who are looking to grow these businesses. So you are the perfect person to have on this podcast to say, hey, here's how I did it. Here's what the status quo in the industry is now, and here's what I recommend, to grow your business today. In this,
so and let me kind of help to adjust a phrase you just said. You said you do business consulting. Yes, I do. I limit myself to the in-network companies of Soft Wash Systems. So I work with my tribe, my company, Soft Wash Systems. We're a $120 million a year network right now. We're working towards a $1 billion network, and we're working on strategies right now to 10x that. We're in 9 countries. So I really only coach the companies that are in our network. And I'm a pretty lousy coach at that. I'm not. So coaching's a weird thing. So first of all, being a mentor is like suggestive. I think you should do this. I think you should do that. Hey, here's some great ideas. Coaching is mentoring mixed with, come on, you can do it. Hey, I'm your accountability mechanism. I'm going to call you every week. I'm going to pump you up. I'm going to push you across those goals that you're trying to set.
Yeah.
In our organization, I have like the Howard Partridge organization, and they're one of our partner companies, and I've worked even some with Brandon Vaughn's Conquer organization, and those are good coaching organizations. I don't do coaching. I have a program called the Soft Wash CEO program, and that's for those of our companies that have worked their way up to where they're trying to break the $1 million mark and grow multiple branches. And that's where they hire me to come in and be their CEO. And so mentoring is suggestive. Coaching is accountability. When you're the CEO, they do what you say or the relationship's over. So it's not suggestive with me. I tell those companies, this is what you do. Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the direction we're taking. You hired me to help you break $1 million and build multiple branches and do what I did with Mallard Systems. So we're not pussyfooting around. We're digging right into it. So I don't really do coaching out there. What I do, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this eventually, is I write books, I speak at seminars, I teach classes. I do make myself very available. Anybody can reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, and I always answer my Facebook Messenger. So when you need that person to not blow smoke up your butt, you need somebody to just shoot you straight, I'm always there for everybody.
Oh, and so I'm very glad you brought up the books, because I love resources and talking about resources on the show, podcast, books, whatever it is, right? YouTube channels. And so for me, having you on is, I know, incredibly great opportunity for our audience, because if you haven't heard of AC, go check out his books, the resources he has online. And I want to talk about that because AC, I know you're a legend in the industry. You're an innovator. You've been around this industry for a long enough time that you have an amazing grasp of it. I've heard you in other podcasts. Go check him out on other podcasts. He's done some great interviews. But AC, let's talk about those books. What books have you written? What should people go check out if they're at the beginning of their journey or they're looking to grow their company?
So, the first book I wrote, I'm trying to see if I've got a copy of it right here around me. I don't have one. Looking over on my bookshelf. Yeah, I got one on the bookshelf. Let me grab it real quick.
All right.
So the first book that I was privileged to be a part of is a buddy of mine, Christian Grosso. He had an idea to do a book called The Wow Factor. And The Wow Factor, if you see it here, it says 52 thoughts from 52 thought leaders. And he wanted to put together a book where you could read, where you could take one word a week and redefine that word, twist your paradigm, adjust your paradigm to where you thought of that word in a new way. And he was going to invite 52 different thought leaders to this book. Well, I was the initial person who jumped on board. I served with him on this book, helped him with some ideas. And so this is actually 52 thoughts from 51 thought leaders. I actually got 2 words in this book. Oh. And so this was my first entree into, writing a book. And it's a real nice book. It's hardcover. It's got dust jacket on it. Really, really great book here. Great read for you to just take one word a week, about 3 pages, and just change your paradigm. In April, I released my first book that's just me, and this is my 5 Keys to Pattern Success. And so this is actually after a slide presentation I've been giving about 10 years. My publisher went through all of my classes. I've got about 300 classes in my Dropbox folder that I've done over the years. And they landed on this one. They went, I think that would make a great book. And so we did this 5 Keys to Pattern Success. It goes into introducing the 5 keys. It goes into 5 stories about my life. It goes into about 5 to 7 different smaller little business systems that you can use with the main 5 Keys business system. And this is a great read here. It's about 120 pages. Let's see here. Am I right about that? I'm sorry. It's about 200 pages. It's about 200 pages, but here's the thing. Pictures and number 14 type. So it's a real easy read. Most people that have gotten this book have said it's a real easy read, even if they don't like reading, and they chomp through it usually in one evening in about 3 hours.
Wow.
And so you get through it, and then they start coming back and then repackaging everything that's in it. Great book right here. This book guaranteed will take you from zero to at least $3 million in business. I guarantee it. If you
Wow.
follow everything that's in this book.
So could you give us a little nugget from that book? What's one nugget that is just a key to the pattern success?
Wow. Whew.
I'm sure
Boiling
that I know
things
you
down
wrote a
to
whole
one
book.
nugget. Yeah, that's a trip. So one nugget is really, really difficult. I think the whole book, if you talk about the 5 keys to pattern success, the one nugget would be establishing patterns in your life. And
Okay.
so some of your listeners may know this if they've Googled me, some may not. But I used to be a professional fisherman. So I built my business to the point where it was turnkey. I didn't have to go to the office every day. I usually went to the office about 2 to 3 times a week. And I fished a whole bunch. So literally, I fished 150 days a year plus.
Wow.
And it got to the point finally where I was able to join the Redfish Tour and start fishing redfish tournaments. Won the national championship my rookie season with my fishing partner Thresher Clear, because you fish as a team of 2 people. And I was the only guy on the tour keeping spreadsheets to find the fish and the solunar tables and all that stuff. But in the book, I talk about that when you fish, and even for people that don't fish, this is a good tip. When you're a professional fisherman, when you go out to pre-fish or practice or go to a new area you've never fished before, you put 10 fishing rods on your boat. And there are 10 different rods with 10 different lengths, with 10 different reels, with different gear ratios, with different line strengths on them, and different leaders and different fishing lures. So you have 10 different options or styles of fishing. And you go and you cast and you wind and you cast and you wind and you cast and you wind until you get a bite. When you get a bite, you say, gee, why did I get that bite? What rod was it on? What line thickness? What leader thickness? What lure? What color lure? Okay? And you make a note of that in your mind. You say, I just won. I had the result I wanted to get. Why did I get that result? And then you continue, or you grab another rod. Now you go, well, maybe I got a bite from a fish because there's just fish here. You grab a different rod, you cast and wind, and you may or may not get another bite. But if you don't get another bite, you go, gee, maybe I'll go back to the rod that I got the bite from. And you pick it up, you start casting and winding. Before you know it, boom, you get another hit. You go, okay, I've caught 2 fish on this rod in this length, with this line size, with this leader, with this gear ratio of reel, with this lure on it and this color. Have I established a pattern? And if you continue to use that rod and you continue to exploit that pattern, you continue to catch fish on that lure, then you're like, okay, I've got a pattern here. And you make notes and keep spreadsheets, what time you caught the fish, what tide was the fish on, what was the lunar schedule, what was the major and minor fishing time. And you figure out from those 10 rods, what are the 3 rods you can catch fish on? So then when it goes to tournament day and you're fishing for money, you don't just have those 3 rods on the deck, you have those 3 styles of rods on the deck, and you have 3 or 4 of each of them. So if you're catching fish and you break off, you don't have to pause or take time to re-rig your rod. You just grab the next identical rod and start chucking and winding and catching fish. So that's called pattern-based fishing. And that's where I learned it from. And fishermen make great salespeople. I mean, you got to think about it. Jesus Christ, the first 3 disciples he picked, the first 3 were all fishermen. That says something, right? Okay. If you're going to spread the gospel, if you're going to spread the good word, get fishermen to do it for you. They know how to dial it in. And so that would be the nugget, is we're doing things in our lives every day, and they're called patterns. And we have good patterns in our lives. We have bad patterns in our lives. Like a bad habit is a bad pattern. So if you overeat and you have diabetes and you always eat and you don't exercise, that would be a bad pattern. If you get on a better diet and you start to exercise, you drop some weight, you're able to mitigate your diabetes, you're on a good pattern. So what can you do in your life to look at everything you do and look at where you're having victories in your life, figure out if there's a pattern attached to that, and then do that over and over and over again. And that's what we call replication.
I love that. That sounds like a great lesson in, setting up patterns and split testing, iteration,
Right.
and you got all of that in that story. It's fantastic. So I'm going to have to say, go check out this book. AC, where do we find this book? If someone in the audience is like, I have to go read that book now.
So you can go to softwashsystems.com, click on the Buy Now tab, go into our shopping cart system, and then just go ahead and type into the search pattern or success or 5 keys or something like that, and it'll pull up in the shopping cart system the book. You can also go to Amazon, and you can either search for myself, the author, AC Lockyer, or you can search for the 5 keys to pattern success. It'll bring it up. On Amazon, I get points towards being on the best seller list, which is nice. On my website, I make a lot more money on the book. And I still haven't quite paid them off yet, so that would be awesome. It would help me pay off the books more quickly. But this book right here, for the $25 we sell it for, $25 is such a small price to pay for the change, the real change it's going to bring into your life.
Absolutely. Wow. So go check out that book.
Yeah.
Fantastic lesson so far. We are actually going to take a moment to hear a word from our sponsor, Pair Payments, but we'll be right back and we're going to hop in a time machine and talk about when you first got into the industry.
So we saved well over $250K.
Just this quarter, we have saved about $30,000 in credit card fees.
Probably over $1,000 a month at least.
Over $150,000 this year alone.
$180,000 the first year we worked with them, and it's growing every single year.
Thank you, Pair Payments.
Thank you, Pair.
I would recommend them to anyone.
Yeah, just wish I would have done it sooner.
And we are back with AC Lockyer, and I'm very excited because that was a fantastic story we just heard about the fishing, the building your patterns. And so now I'm wondering, I know you have a million good stories, I'm sure. You've written books about them, right? So was there a point, AC, where a light bulb went off in your head? We're hopping in the time machine. We're going way back to when you were first starting out, a young AC. Where was the light bulb, or what was the story behind that when you realized, hey, this is something that I can turn into a company? I have this idea, soft wash systems, whatever it was back then. What was that light bulb that went off?
So when I started, literally, I came home from college after being kicked out from college, moved back to Florida, wanted to marry my sweetheart, Karen, from college, and got the idea from my dad. He said, hey, listen, the family painter just got done pressure washing the house to get it ready to be painted. He jumped up on the roof and pressure washed off the roof, which I know is bad. Didn't know that then, but, pressure washed off the shingle roof and made it look like brand new. My dad went, man, seems to me that would be a great business to be in. And so I started working on developing that. And as part of the seed money, my dad did help me start the business, right? My dad did help me. He bought me a $1,000 pickup truck and a $500 pressure washer. So that was my gift from my dad, $1,500. Not very different than you guys out there, $1,500 was the seed money. And I started going out knocking on doors and pressure washing roofs, and I realized pretty quick that pressure washing was not the way to clean a roof. I'm literally sandblasting my shins from the aggregate flying off the roof while I'm pressure washing the roof. And so I started to remember while I was in high school, I dual enrolled through the FFA in vocational agriculture. I did gain a vocational degree in horticulture. And the first about 7 years of my working life through high school into college, I worked at nurseries, I worked in garden shops, I worked in floral shops, I worked with plants. And so I knew what was up on the roofs was a fungus. There was algae, mold, mildew, bacteria, funguses growing up on the roof. And I knew that you could spray them with fungicides and algicides and different things to get rid of that fungus on a plant. I was like, why can't I do it to a roof? Why can't I get rid of this pressure washer and just spray some magical chemical on the roof that's going to kill everything up there? It's going to clean the roof and it's going to help keep it from coming back just like it does on a plant. And so I took that background I had in horticulture and I started doing what was not at all called soft washing back then. what we all call soft washing today did not start being called soft washing until about 2005. A guy up in Tallahassee, Florida, a guy named Tim Asselton, was the first person. He's the guy that makes the Proportioner, if you've ever seen him. He was the first person to ever call it soft washing. And so I called it the exclusive Mallard system because I like ducks. And so when I first started my company, I did like a lot of us do. I did a name that made me seem like I was bigger than I actually was. So I did Allstate Home Appearance Services. And this was back in the day where the Yellow Pages still existed. So Allstate, obviously, so I was in the A's in the Yellow Pages.
Smart.
And so it's Allstate Home Appearance Services. And also, too, because I wanted to seem like I was bigger than I was, and you had Allstate Insurance out there. And so as I guinea pigged my process and my chemicals, and I formulated this new and innovative way to clean roofs, because I like ducks, I started calling it the Mallard system. So as Allstate Home Appearance Services using the exclusive Mallard system. And that raised the question. People were like, oh, you're not pressure washing? Oh, no, we're the alternative to pressure washing. We use the Mallard system. And they're like, what's the Mallard system? And so I'd explain to them, it's like pest control and pressure washing had a baby. We're not using pressure anymore. We're using chemicals up on the roof, and they kill the algae, mold, mildew, and the funk growing on the roof. And we just spray it up there, and it doesn't hurt the roof, doesn't dislodge the aggregate. There's no pressure in it at all. And so that's when we really started to grow. But even at that, guys, even as cool sounding, and you think, man, AC must have started making a ton of money when he's, I never say I invented pressure or invented soft washing. I'm like the patriarch. I mean, anybody that's ever used a pump-up sprayer with bleach in it, dishwashing detergent to clean your patio furniture or your back stoop, you were soft washing, okay? I don't know who invented soft washing, but I am the patriarch. I'm the one that created the category and gave it wings. And people are like, man, AC, you must have been making a mint back then. No, my first year in business, I did $83,000 gross. My second year in business, I did $87,000 gross. I qualified because we had a baby within 1 year of us getting married. I qualified for the earned income tax credit every year. I'd get that $1,500 check from the government, just like everybody did. So I wasn't any different than you guys. About the third year, I started to grow and get pretty busy. But one thing really changed the trajectory of my company that first 3 years. First year, 83,000. Second year, 87,000. I went ahead and I rebranded. After I got married. I remember I wanted to call the company, just instead of using the exclusive Mallard system, just call it Mallard Systems. And so I remember sitting on the floor in the aisle at Albertson's grocery store, going through all the coloring books in the toy section, looking for a duck character to put next to my name, Mallard Systems, and come up with a logo for my company. And I'd kind of gotten the idea because there was a pest control company that was here in Florida called Middleton Pest Control, and they had a frog in their logo. And because they had a cute little frog in their logo, people were like, oh, well, those chemicals can't be too bad. They have a frog in their logo. And so I went, well, I'm going to put a duck in my logo. So everybody's like, well, those chemicals can't be too bad. He's got a duck in his logo.
That's smart.
And I went from Allstate Home Appearance Services to Mallard Systems with the duck in the logo and changed my phone number to a vanity phone number. It was 407-831-DUCK. And just that move, I didn't change the ways I was advertising or the intensity of my advertising or how much was going out or anything. Just the change of the name and getting a better brand going grew my company by 30%.
Wow. So you are not only differentiating yourself with what you were calling the exclusive Mallard system at the time, but you're doing this optimally, right? You're doing an amazing level of service, but your business isn't taking off over the first few years. So that just goes to show you could be doing everything right from a technical aspect, but that's not what's holding you back from the business success. It's the business side, the brand. Wow.
Yeah, because if you ever felt like you're working hard, you got your nose to the grindstone, you're doing all the right things, but you're not getting traction, it's the same thing of me picking up a rod that caught a fish 2 weeks ago and chucking and winding and chucking and winding and chucking and winding and going down the bank. and casting and holding my tongue just right and standing on my left foot and using the same leader and the same line and the same lure with the same color on it and not getting the result I wanted, sometimes you just have to make some little changes. The color of the lure, the thickness of the leader, go to a lighter leader. Maybe the water's clearer right now and the fish can see the leader. Go to a lighter leader. Go to a little more of a muted color on the lure. Well, that's what I was doing with my business is I was like, I'm doing pretty good. What are some little adjustments I can make here or there to get even better? You know, I got the car running. Now it's time to put it on the dyno and tune it.
And I love that. I love that analogy. And so while you're growing this company now, Mallard Systems, you mentioned prior in the show that there were ups and downs. The businesses would ebb and flow, and I'm sure they grow, they fall apart. What are some good lessons that you learned from failing businesses that you could say to the audience, hey, this is what I did that I would recommend you never do?
Well, I literally just wrote about this on my Facebook page today. And it was actually, I was answering somebody else's post on a UK pressure washing and soft washing Facebook group that's in the UK. And I was writing that, hey, I've been through 4 economic downturns like this one now. And so what are the common denominators or the things I've seen every time that have fleshed out to be true? And the number one biggest thing is companies that are in the service business area, like we're cleaning companies. A lot of people think, well, that's the first thing to get cut. Not really. It's the first thing to get cut by middle class America. And if you're doing business with people that look like you, you're failing because you can't afford you.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of us are spending $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 cleaning our houses? I mean, I'm a multi-millionaire. And I don't pay anybody to clean my house. They come over to my house for Discover Soft Wash, and my house is the guinea pig, and I get it cleaned for free. You know, it's the shoemaker's house. Kids have no shoes. But no, you got to think about that. You are not your target clientele. You're not your target clientele. You have to do business with people that are going to be able to afford it no matter what the economy is doing. And you've got to raise your prices. I see everybody, their response to what's going on is drop your prices, drop your prices, drop your prices. You're going to go out of business. You're getting ready to kill your company. You're getting ready to kill your company. And especially if the last 2 years you've been in business, you've leveraged yourself with debt. You've maybe not lived below your means. You're not exercising delayed gratification with yourself. You went out and bought that nice truck and upgraded the house and built up your overhead and rented the shop and now your only play is to drop your prices. What's going to happen is you're going to trade dollars. You're going to be doing the work for almost exactly what it costs to get the job done. You're not going to make any profit on it, and you're going to be turning in that truck. You're going to be volunteering, repoing the house. You're going to be losing your team and your shop, and you're going to be all the way back to an owner-operator, if not out of business after this economic downturn. Because number one, you did not exercise that great delayed gratification. You didn't focus on building your company instead of your personal lifestyle. You put your personal lifestyle first. And I'm sorry if I'm hurting or embarrassing some people right now, but it is so true in this industry. Absolutely. And then you didn't charge enough for what you were doing then. You've been living month to month, paycheck to paycheck. You don't have any reserves. You've been living high on the hog. I remember back in the 2000s, I was living paycheck to paycheck on $250,000 a year.
Wow.
On $250,000 a year. My kid's private school bill was $4,000 a month.
Wow.
Okay? So I was living paycheck to paycheck like every other numbnut out there. I had no reserves. And you guys right now, when you started these businesses, a lot of you guys are upstarts just within the past several years, maybe in the Donald Trump years, which were awesome, or the pandemic years, which were crazy, okay? And you're used to just answering the phone and being booked out 3, 4, 5 weeks. Those days are over. They're over, all right? And you probably weren't charging enough then, but you had enough business rolling. You had this huge wave going. You were able to cash flow yourself into this wonderful lifestyle you had. But you didn't set anything back or aside. because you didn't charge enough. Now what's going to happen is your mindset is going to be, holy crap, I don't have any money. I need to drop my prices and drop my prices and drop my prices because I got to win some business. And what you're going to find out is you're not going to win really any more business. If you get 10 leads in, you're probably going to close 3 to 5 right now in these current economic times, not the 8 you were closing before. You're going to close 3 to 5. If you drop your prices, you may close 1 or 2 more jobs, but the problem is you dropped your prices on the 3 to 5 that we're going to buy from you at your old price. So now all of the jobs you're closing now are at that lower price, and you're just trading dollars, and you're going further and further underwater, starving yourself to death, not getting any nourishment in during hard economic times, and you're going to fail. You're going to go out of business. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be embarrassing. You're going to lose your name, and you're going to lose your credit. How do you solve that? When economic times get hard like this, you double your prices. You double your prices. What do you mean you double your prices? You raise your prices. Raise them until you're uncomfortable. Because here's the thing. Of the 10 leads you're going to get, you're going to close 3 to 5 of those leads. Those are the people that just liked you and trusted you and probably would have bought from you at any price. So if you doubled your prices right now, you might not close 5, but you'll close 3. And that's wonderful. You're going to do half the work for twice the money. That's how you survive an economic storm, is doing half of the work, expending half of the calories, working half as hard for twice the money to build up your coffers. So when you go through times where people aren't spending money, you have some reserve to ride out that 5, 6, 8 week period of time until they start spending money again. But if you keep giving away your work, you're going to be out of business.
I love that, and I don't know how I haven't heard that yet, because wow, that absolutely makes sense. And I had thought we would later get into what to do now, but that was the perfect seriously, that was the perfect time to bring that up. And wow, that is one heck of a way to deal with that. So AC, I have to know, what else should people be doing right now? And you obviously have a great understanding and grasp on what's going on in the current market. What else can people be doing to combat some of the issues they're facing today?
Okay, so brass tacks. Can I be honest with everybody?
Please.
Okay, this is one of the laziest, self-entitled industries I've ever seen. Most of the people in this industry don't have the balls to do what it's going to take to survive this economic storm. Y'all are raised in a different time. Okay, I'm a Generation Xer. I'm 35 years old, and I could work most of you guys into the ground. All right? This is what you need to do. You need to turn off your advertising. You need to knock on doors. You need to shake hands. You need to kiss babies. You need to develop relationships. The 3 biggest bleeds in a company. Number 1 is overtime. You either need to give your guys 40 hours a week worth of business or work, or not give them 40 hours a week, give them 20, and stay on them to do 20 hours worth of work in 20 hours and then send them home, and not let them turn 20 hours worth of work into 40 hours. And what usually happens is they take 20 hours worth of work and they turn it into 50 hours, and you have overtime on it. Have you ever noticed that? Whether it's a $10,000 a week or a $3,500 a week, it seems to take them 50 hours all the time. Or is it just me, the only one that's noticed that? Okay, so you've got to watch your payroll. That's the number 1 biggest bleed in the company. I can show you companies that are going out of business, that aren't turning a profit, that are struggling, and the number 1 biggest bleed is overages on payroll. And then when you go to work into overtime, it's time and a half on the hourly wages, it's time and a half on the workers' comp, it's time and a half on the payroll processing fees, it's time and a half on the Social Security tax that you pay 50% of. All right? All of those things grow. Your liability insurance is based on your payroll. So when you get audited at the end of the year, that overtime costs you more money. Stop running the overtime. But that's mean. My guys are going to suffer. They're not going to suffer any less than if you went out of business. If you went out of business, they'd really suffer. Okay? Yeah. Number 2 biggest bleed on a company is marketing. Marketing is a drug. Okay? Angie is a whore. Stop using Angie's List. She's a dirty whore. Please. She looks at you and says, I'm going to love you. I'm going to send you leads. And then she goes to all the other guys and sends them all the same leads. Okay? Stop using Angie. Okay? Stop using Google AdWords. Work on organic SEO so people find you without you having to pay for it. Stop running the Facebook ads. Stop spending money on advertising. It's one of the biggest bleeds. I see companies that have 20, 25%, 30 cents on the dollar they're spending on advertising because you're too lazy to go out there with cookie jars and candy jars and knock on doors and visit realtors and property managers and go out there and scratch out a name for yourself. You want Angie to do it for you.
Yeah.
And Angie's with every other company in town. Why do you want to be with Angie? That's dumb. It's dumb. Same thing with Facebook. I don't even know if Home Advisor exists anymore. All of this digital marketing is trash. It's trash. Get away from it. Start building a real business. People buy from whom they know, like, and trust. So what you need to do right now in these economic uncertain times is turn off all of your advertising. That's lifeblood money that you're going to need to survive this thing.
Yeah.
Period. Next thing, okay, number 3 biggest bleed in the company is the lack of delayed gratification by the ownership group. Oh, I'm doing great now. I'm going to go out and get that King Ranch pickup truck. I'm doing great now. I'm going to upgrade the house. I'm doing great now. I'm going to spend all this money and everything else and buy all these toys and take all this time off. That merry-go-round ain't spinning anymore, guys. Okay? We're going through some rough times right now. Now, for the people that are wise, if you hunker down, you get humble, you take good advice, you turn off the advertising, you start knocking on doors and going to B&I groups and start finding the people that are still spending money, get referral-based marketing that's free coming into your company. For the people that do this, you guys aren't only going to survive this recession, you're going to thrive. In fact, as everybody else goes out of business, if you can hold on and you can survive it, okay, all those other companies are going to go out of business and you're going to gobble up market share. And right now is the time for you to stay lean, mean, and gobble up market share. So when we come out of this, you're poised to just take over the market and make millions of dollars in this business. That's what I've done.
So well said. I could not have said that better myself. I love that. And my favorite thing about what you just said with the marketing, well, I loved all of it, but my favorite piece there about the marketing is if everyone is doing it in your market, it's oversaturated. You're now fighting and paying more and more. When what are they doing? They're just totally forgetting about the in-person community. That if everyone's fighting online, it's an open field outside.
It drives me crazy. I look at all these millennials and Ys, and I'm just like pulling my hair out. It makes my head hurt. All they want to do is text with people and have them fill out contact forms and send them their quotes. Send them their quotes by email so they don't have to hear the word no. It's like back in elementary school when you pass the note to the girl. When you pass the note to your friend to pass the note to the girl, and it was like, "Do you like me?" Mark yes or no, and then they pass it back to your friend, and they pass it back to you, and you look and go, "Oh, they said no. My heart is broken." That's what y'all are doing right now. You haven't grown up yet. Go meet some people, okay? Go influence some people. Go get in front of people. It's harder for people to say no to your face. You send them an email quote. Are you freaking kidding me? Or even worse, you let people quote their own jobs on your website. Get in front of people. It's hard for people to say no to somebody that's hungry, looking them in the eye saying, "I need this job. Let's make a deal. Come on. Your house is dirty. I'm in the house cleaning business. Let's come to terms here because I'm here in front of you right now to take care of your house." And this quoting it online and stuff like that, stop doing it, people. It's a race to the bottom. You're making it all about price. You're not making it about value. Certainly not about relationship.
And I want to highlight another thing you said, which is about grabbing market share. If you can build, everything you're saying is perfect here because you're so right. If you can build these relationships in your community, this isn't just a right now thing. You're now building something for the future. You're grabbing the market share because you're now more lean than your competitors who are fighting in an oversaturated space online. So you're just setting yourself up for the future. You'll be the guy in your market. And I love the way you put it there. That was perfect. So thank you. Thank you very much. So AC, I want to move on to, we talked about, what to do now, what to avoid doing. Is there anything that you're looking forward to in the future that you see as a great opportunity for this industry?
So I think there's a great opportunity in this industry to lead for environmental causes. This is an industry that all the equipment is gas powered, and it's power washers or pressure washers that use gallons of water per minute. And it's not a very great environmental footprint. Then a lot of that water goes down the drain and goes into the MS4, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. And that goes out to our lakes and estuaries and violates the U.S. Clean Water Act. And, we're a little industry really compared to anything else. So nobody's really looking at that right now. But I think, with my company, Soft Wash Systems, I'll do a little tooting of our own horns here on Soft Wash Systems. All of our equipment is DC powered. It's been DC powered since 1992. We were country before country was cool. We were Tesla before Tesla was Tesla. All right. And what's funny is what's funny on this whole thing is, so Tesla cars are DC powered. Tesla's the one that invented AC power, which is what goes through our houses.
Yeah.
Okay. Edison built DC power, which is what powers Tesla cars. Elon Musk just named them Teslas because he thought it was a cool name and he liked, Tesla. But it's ironic that Tesla cars, the father of AC electricity, the cars are run with DC current, which is what Thomas Edison basically invented and promoted. But anyhow, we've been DC powered since 1992. We've used 1/3 the water of pressure washing since 1992. We have lasted on our cleanings last 4 to 6 times longer, and it's been that way since 1992. We've got our own formulations, our own biodegradable, water-based, low VOC, non-hazardous chemicals to spray on the homes. It's a very sustainable model, and you've got to develop a more sustainable model. People want this now. And listen, I like electric cars, but I don't like electric cars because I think they're going to save the planet. I like electric cars because they do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, and it's fun to do donuts in them. I like cars. I don't know if you've seen my truck online, Bluebell, but that's got a Mustang 5.0 engine in it. And it's fun to do donuts in that. The smell of burning gas and burnt rubber is nothing's like the smell of burning gas and burnt rubber. It's just exhausting rubber, man. I love it. Okay. But when you look at your business and you look at the product that you're trying to get out there in front of consumers, you need to keep up what's going on right now. And some of you guys aren't keeping up with what's going on. Some of you are, some of you aren't, but some of you guys, it's so hard to keep up and work on the equipment and do the admin work and do the dispatching and go out and do the sales and the marketing and put together your business systems and train employees and everything else. The day is coming that if you really want to grow, the course of least resistance at least, grow a multi-million-dollar company, it's to jump on board and join somebody like Soft Wash Systems that provides all the training, all the certifications, all the business systems, all the marketing systems, all the sales systems, all of the manuals, everything that you need to run that business so that you can just focus on the kill it, grill it, and put it on the table. We're all good at that. The sales, okay, sell it, get the production done, put the money in the bank, kill it, grill it, put it on the table. We're not good at the marketing. We're not good at the admin. We're not good at the budgets. We're not good at the books. That's everything the Soft Wash Systems gives you. So if you're struggling right now, I love people that feel entrepreneurial and have that entrepreneurial spirit. When they get into their business and they hit that wall and they go, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. But they're hungry, they're bright-eyed, they're bushy-tailed, they want to build something, but they don't have the personal bandwidth or time to build it on their own. That's what Soft Wash Systems is good for.
Wow. So if someone's interested in hearing more about Soft Wash Systems and they love this podcast today, how do they get in touch with you and learn more about that company?
So we're not a franchise. Let me make that point here real quick. Some of the younger people won't understand this, but I like to make the joke we're Mary Kay for men. Mary Kay Cosmetics out there puts people in the cosmetics business, and So we're like Mary Kay for men. Some people probably laughed at that. But what we do is we put people in the business. We throw the rah-rah parties. We give you all the products to sell. We tell you how to sell them. We teach you how to market. We teach you how to sell. We give you all the protocols and procedures and everything else. But it's not a franchise. You don't pay us a royalty or anything else. You pay us 1 gallon at a time. We get it through the consumables. So if we're breathing life into you and you're successful and you're out there killing it, growing it, putting it on the table, we make our money on the side where, because you're out there doing the work, you're buying the chemicals from us. And that's our business model. If you want to know more about the business model, if you want to come and kick the tires, if you want to see if soft wash systems either is a great way for you to start your soft washing business or possibly rescue your cleaning business right now that's not doing well because you can't wear all the hats and you don't have the bandwidth or time, you can come to Discover Soft Wash. We have them every single month down in Orlando, Florida. Winter's a great time to come down because you're frozen where you're at up in the north. Come down to Orlando, do a little family vacation, go to Discover Soft Wash. Where you can find out about that is at softwashsystems.com/academy/discover. Okay? Or you can go up to the menu up top and go softwashsystems.com, click on the Academy menu, click on Discover Soft Wash, and you can look at the schedule for next year. We've got one more left here in December this year, and then we've got our big event, Soft Wash-a-Palooza, in January, and then the whole rest of the year we have Discover Soft Washes. And come down and visit with us. We'd be happy to show you around, and you can kick the tires and decide if joining the soft wash revolution through Soft Wash Systems is the right move for you.
So to the audience, please take up AC on that offer there. Go tour, go check it out, kick the tires. But as you can tell from listening to this podcast today, AC is speaking our language. All the stuff you talked about today, AC, is stuff we love to talk about and get into. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking you need to hear more from AC, go check out the books, go listen to other podcasts he's been on, and go check out Soft Wash Systems. So Thank you for that very much. There was something you said in there that I'm very interested in. We'll hop back a little bit to the sustainability. I know public sentiment on sustainability has shifted in a sense that I think it might be a huge selling point now. Is that something you've noticed is a big selling point for you?
Oh, sure. Well, we've been doing it for years. All the way back to 1999, we had a real bad drought here in Florida, and pressure washing was a third-degree felony. You couldn't pressure wash a building. You could get arrested for it. It was a third-degree felony because we were in stage 4 water restrictions here in Florida. And so we had to go to the state and actually apply for an exemption to be able to clean. And we had to show that we used less water and had water control devices and it lasted longer, and show that we made less of an impact as compared to traditional pressure washing. And so ever since 1999, we've been really selling this sustainability model. And it was mildly important. Man, the last 4 years or so, it is paramount. It is paramount. And if you can't put together that sustainability model, it's like people always tease me about using 12-volt pumps. Listen, I got a 12-volt pump that does 7 gallons a minute at 120 PSI that shoots 75 feet in the air, okay? I don't use that for soft washing. We use a 5-gallon-a-minute pump that operates at 70 PSI and shoots at 40 feet in the air because I don't want to overflood an area with chemicals and possibly damage the plants. But when you look at that 12-volt technology and everybody else is out there using either air compressors or loud, gas-powered engines, people listen to that, and whether it's an air compressor with a gas engine or a soft wash pump with a gas engine or a pressure washer using a downstream injector, people think it's a pressure washer. People think it's a pressure washer. And if you had to turn a key or pull a cord, it's a pressure washer. And I know people are going to be pissed off on this going, but you see, it's not a pressure washer. There's all these shades of gray. People don't see things like that in shades of gray. Okay? People want to know, is it actually soft washing or is it not soft washing? And when people hear that gas engine, they think it's pressure washing. And fuel and carbon emissions and the way people think about, California, for crying out loud, by the year 2025, you won't be able to buy a gas-powered engine under 25 horsepower in California. So when you look at all those types of things and the direction things are going, if you don't start paying attention to this right now, you're going to get driven out of business, or you're going to be relegated to the people that don't care, that just want it cheap. And I don't know about you guys. I don't want to do business with the people that don't care and just want it cheap.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure those are the first people that disappear when the economy takes a little turn down.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. So thank you very much, AC. We have gotten a fantastic podcast so far. My final question to you, unless you have anything else to add before we sign off, my final question to you is, what is the number one thing you would recommend to a guy on this podcast, or a guy listening to this podcast, that turns it off and is going back to now reevaluate his business? What is one like actionable item you'd say, if once you turn off this podcast, it's the first thing I'd do?
All right. Well, first of all, we're talking to guys and gals, because there's a lot of gals in this industry. We don't need to forget about all those awesome lady entrepreneurs out there. Okay.
I wasn't inferring a sex. Guys and gals, absolutely.
You were saying guys like you're from New York, like saying you guys,
Yeah, hey, come on,
you
guys.
all in the South. We're talking about all of the genders, right? No.
Yeah.
All right. So if you get off of this podcast and you're trying to figure out what you need to do, the first thing you need to do is, I'm going to tell you, the first thing you need to do is drop your ego and get humble. You need to seek advice from the right people. Stop listening to the gurus. There are people out there that have only been in business for 2 or 3 years that are on Facebook telling you what to do with your business. And they're going to fail over the next year or two with this economy. All right? You need to surround yourself with better people. Drop the ego, drop the attitude, get the chip off your shoulder. You ain't so awesome. Your poop stinks too. Okay? Look at the top 5 people that you hang out with. You are the average. You are the average of the top 5 people that you hang out with. It's time for you to do a peer transfusion. It's time for you to get new voices in your life. It's time for you to find 5 multi-millionaires to hang out with that will pull you up and make you a millionaire. All right? Stop listening to people that say the things that you want to hear, that make you think you're the thing, that you're awesome. All right? Find the people that make you uncomfortable and make you feel small because you're standing amongst giants. Those are the people you need to hang out with. That's what you need to immediately do. Because if you change your influences, if you change the people who have influence over you, if you find those better people that are business-minded, entrepreneurial-minded, the people that are really out there killing it and doing well, if you can hang out with them, you'll look back a year, 18 months from now, and you'll be the average of those 5 people, not the average of the 5 people you're hanging out with right now.
Wow, absolutely. So thank you very much for that. That's a fantastic tip. Go check out AC's books. Go check out his website. Check out Soft Wash Systems. I absolutely love that. That was a fantastic episode. So thank you, AC. I would love to get you back on. Whenever you want to come back on, you have an open invite.
Yeah, just get with Kareem. Always love doing these podcasts.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, AC. We really appreciate it. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you very much to the audience for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And as always, don't forget to rate, review, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this podcast with anyone that you know is trying to grow a service-based business, specifically in this industry too, obviously, but there are so many other industries where you can take little pieces and grow a business in the home service space from amazing experts like AC. So thank you again to AC. Thank you to the audience. And don't forget, stay tuned because we have an amazing roster of guests coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned and you'll get some great stuff. But thank you again, AC. Seriously, you've imparted some sage advice and you've dropped some amazing wisdom here today. So we really appreciate it.
It's the gray hair. It's the gray hair.
I'll have to start dyeing my hair gray.
That's right.
So I cannot thank you enough. And we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
See you guys.